Welcome to the ROI of Peace podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm sending you lots of hugs, lots of love, and just good vibes, and that you can manifest everything that you want. That whatever you want is on your heart for a reason. It's there for you. You guys know I love trees, right? And we are having a beautiful spring summer so far here in Texas, loving it. And the sun is shining, and I was looking out my podcast window, and I have a bunch of trees. Um, and one of them is magnolia that I love magnolias so much. And we planted this magnolia a couple years ago, and last summer so it had, the last summer, we didn't realize that the sprinklers had been accidentally turned off, and it was August. So all of August, we're like, and of course, we're not getting any rain. I'm like, why is the grass dying? I'm sure I mean, it is August. It is pelting 100 degrees hot. So, the grass kind of does whittle a little bit in August. So I was like, well, something must be going on. Well, anyway, I was like, and I checked the sprinklers were on, and I was like, okay, I guess it's just a really hot time and the grass is really struggling and my sweet little trees are really struggling. And because this magnolia is somewhat on the young side, it's taking the summer heat really hard. So I thought and it kept going, and I was like, gosh, the grass is dying a lot more than normal. And so I thought, let me just check the sprinklers, because we usually have guys come out and check the sprinklers at the beginning of the season, because there's something always, a head that's always off or something like that. And so I was like, so I started to test the sprinklers and to run the sprinklers, and I realized none of the water was turning on. I was like, I'm testing the sprinklers. Why isn't the water turning on? And I'm like, oh no. So I called the sprinkler guys out. They were able to come out within a day or two, and they went to test it, and they're like, yeah, it's not turning on. So they went to the valve at the main valve, and they're like, oh, it looks like you have two valves. One is for the sprinklers and one is for the house. And the house one had been shut off because we had some plumbing inside the house that we needed to fix. And so they had shut both of them off and had only turned on the house one and not the sprinklers as well. I was like, oh, no wonder her grass is dying. My poor magnolia is not looking so good. Like I'm telling you, the leaves were shedding, and magnolias don't shed. Okay. They're not shedding. They're like evergreens. So I was like, okay. So after that, I watered the magnolia some more. I gave it some good fertilizer. I don't know if you guys know, like you can use eggshells. The plants love eggshells, and they love coffee. So I got some coffee, sprinkling some eggshells. Anyway, it was struggling, and more leaves were falling off. It looked horrific. So this season, I was like, gosh, I hope the magnolia isn't completely dead. I did go out there and touch the leaves, and they felt normal. So I'm like, well, the 5 leaves that you have on, and this magnolia is like 8 feet tall. I'm like, 5 leaves, great. At least they're living leaves. So anyway, I just looked out the window, and it has some buds on it. It actually has like 2 flowers, magnolia flowers. Magnolia flowers are so gorgeous. They're so sculptural and white and just so pretty. So I'm like, the tree is coming back to life. It's surviving. And that is what I feel like is so happens with me, is that there'll be times of drought. There'll be times of challenges in my life where I feel like I don't even know how we're going to survive this. I don't know how we're going to go on. And what happens on the other side of that is being given exactly what we need to survive, these tender mercies in our lives that come through miracles, that come through other people, that come through God, that uplifts us, that strengthens us, that gets us through these times. And on the other side is a beautiful flower. And it doesn't mean that the plant or that ourselves still has more room to grow. And when I tell you about Shannon and all that she has gone through, it is incredible. Lots of toxic relationships, lots of really, really tough times. And we get into the last year of what she went through, of having this really scary health scare, possible breast cancer, a job that she was fired from, a toxic relationship that she ended, and the turning point of how did she keep believing that she was meant for more? Because we all are at that point, and we get to that point where we're meant for more. We're meant to get on this other side. We're meant to see the flowers and to have those joys in our life. But it still doesn't mean that everything is going to go smoothly. And how do we actually navigate that? So I'm so excited for you to meet Shannon. She has beautiful company that she founded where she allows nature and photography to inspire resilience and empowerment. She believes that the power of visual arts through photography can help inspire and heal us. She has a book, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. And let's spend more time together. You can grab your own human design, see what human design gifts you have. You can see what your interferers are, that's in the show notes, and you can spend more time with me in my mastermind, and the links are in the show notes. All right, we'll see you inside the episode. Take a breath. You've got this. Welcome to the ROI of Peace podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited that we met, and I'm so excited that we get to dive into your beautiful human design chart, and you just radiate love and inspiration. And so when we connected, I was like, we must be friends.
I felt it as well. I felt it. Yeah.
Friends, thank you so much for being on and listening. And we're sending you big hugs and loves and all the beautiful things. So before we get into everything, we love to do a pick your piece game. Now, this comes from my app, and this is the pick your piece page where we're going to choose a visualization that can help us to combat some interferes that are in our lives. Now, interferes, everybody has interferes. They're patterns that sabotage us over and over again. And these interferes mess with our success, they mess with our happiness. And you are going to choose a number between 1 and 12, Shannon, and we'll do a visualization story. So, number 2. Okay. Number 2 is, okay, let me see. What is number 2? Is the overpleaser.
I can't even believe I nailed it right on the head.
Okay.
Earned this year, it took a lot. It took me 3 relationships, and this past year I reflected and realized that, love is something that is given to us freely, and we are
Yes.
whole and meant to be loved just as we are, not because what we do. And
Oh, 100%. And that's exactly what this interfere is all about. So, all right, everybody, and Shannon, you look like you're in a comfortable position. And if everybody,
yes,
our friends, are sitting down, you can close down your eyes. We're going to take a deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling all those edges all around you. In these few minutes, you're investing in peace, and that investment starts working right now. The overpleaser learned to keep everyone happy so she wouldn't be rejected or cause conflict. But that's a lie. Real peace comes from keeping harmony in the inside and from honoring that inside truth. Let's let the story begin. There once was a woman who lived at the edge of a canyon. Each morning, voices drifted from the cliffs all around her. What do you think? Do you agree? Will you help? And at every time she answered quickly and softly, yes, of course, you're right. Her words bounced back through the canyon, smooth, polite, identical. At first, it felt peaceful to hear her own echo return, proof she had pleased everyone. But after a while, she noticed something missing. Her voice never sounded like hers. One day, she walked deep into the canyon, farther than ever before. The walls curved high, close, holding in silence. For the first time, there was no questions, no voices, just still air. It was quiet enough to hear her own heartbeat. She placed her hand on her throat and whispered a word that wasn't an echo. No. The word didn't bounce back. It stayed in the air, warm, alive, and true. Then she tried another word. Yes, this one came from her chest, not from fear. It sounded different, full, grounded, and free. She smiled, realizing her voice had been waiting all along, not as an echo, but to exist. When she left the canyon, her silence no longer scared her. She no longer rushed to fill it. And when someone asked her a question, she paused long enough to listen to herself first. Her peace didn't come from pleasing others, it came from hearing her own truth, her own wisdom. Where have you been echoing others instead of speaking your own truth or playing small? How does your body feel when it's an honest yes versus when it's automatic and filled with responsibility for the relationship or for the thing that you're hoping to get? What would it feel like to speak your own real voice today? We'll take another deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
You
Tell
know,
me what you came to you during that story.
what came to me during that story is just understanding how important boundaries are. Most of the time, and like I said, I equated love for over 50 years with making everyone else happy and pouring into their cups. We have to focus on our relationship with the Creator, and we have to understand that we are whole just as we are
Yes.
and loved just as that. We don't have to do anything else but just be us, not anyone else. Be
Yes.
yourself, authentically yourself. And it is okay. It truly is okay to say no when it doesn't align.
Yes. And I think that no sounds really scary. That no feels like, well, I want to show up for people. I want to pour into people, or am I going to create ripple effects that will backlash if I say no? And that
Right.
really isn't the case. I think especially when I'm still learning to say no, but I'm getting better. But I'm like, if I frame it in a way that I feel like it's a win-win for both people, like using, unfortunately, I can't do this, but let me connect you with someone who might be able to help you. I had a really great influencing package come to me for PR, and they're like, "Hey, we would love for you to be an influencer in this with us, connecting with us." And I was like, "Oh, I really love the cause that they're doing." And it was working with autism and helping out with that. And I have two kids who have autism, and so I'm like, "Oh, I love it. I totally get this." But unfortunately, my time is very limited, and I was telling the person in the company, I was like, "Hey, I'm like knee deep in my app and my own, like all my own stuff. Let me, unfortunately, at this time, I'm going to have to pass, but let me connect you with a bunch of people that I feel like would be really good fit for
Right.
you." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, sounds great. And I felt so much better, and all this pressure was relieving. And I realized I was just trying to people please, but also because I do care so much.
No, it totally resonates. When you care, it is hard to say no. And there's so many
Yes.
things out there that you want to, if you're a healer, you don't stop
Yes.
healing.
Yeah.
You truly want to help so many, and you can't. You can't do everything. You'd love to, but you do have to be able to say no and pour into yourself and your family.
Yes, it is. It truly is. And that no allows us to say yes to the things that are for us. There's always things that are for us.
Right.
And if we have so much stuff going on, we are going to clutter up the things that are coming towards us.
Right.
Now, the things that you've experienced in this last year with a health scare, the job, ending a relationship, what a weight that you have carried through this last year, and it hit all at once. And I think most people would have fallen apart when you were telling me over the last year what's been going on with your life. I was like, how are you even brushing your hair? I mean, you look like you showered, so I'm impressed.
I did take a shower today. Yes.
I'm very impressed. I was like, way to go, girl. But with all the stuff happening in the last year, um, and take us to the moment where you could either have gotten, kicked in bed and stayed in bed. Cause I mean, honestly, that's a choice, right?
Right.
Or you could have decided what you did decide to do. What shifted inside of you?
Shifted inside of me as I when you're a woman, you kinda know things that are happening on. So I was detaching from this relationship probably a year ago, because you
Oh, okay.
detach when you feel things, and I've always been a person that could feel, energies, and I knew that there were things going on, and I fought.
Yes.
I was breathing relationship I was putting air into a relationship that was only that be there breathing and alive because of me, and you can't do that. What I realized is my prayers do have power, and they don't often come in what we expect. So if you pray, which I do religiously now, and you pray for clarity, and if you pray for and I literally did. I have a prayer that and I say it nightly, remove remove individuals or anybody that have ill intentions or are not truly there for me. And I prayed this pray and I pray it every night. The reality is I lost a relationship. I got fired. I did get clarity with a mass on my breast that was missed
Yes.
over a year ago by a doctor that I had
Gosh.
told that, I thought this is what it was. I I was literally asked to leave a church that I was attending because of this prayer. And that's where I'm like, some of us don't recognize, how prayers affect us, but sometimes they do come with this. When we want to change our lives, he is gonna come in and he is gonna take everything out that is not truly meant there for us. And, I found my journal writing, and I thought it was so appropriate for today. I found
Yes.
this journal writing this is my journal writing from and this question ties right into it. I
Oh,
wrote this journal writing last May 2nd. Sometimes the Lord takes away to teach us to surrender. Sometimes he allows heartbreak so that he can heal us. Sometimes he doesn't give the answer right away, so we learn to trust him. Sometimes he reminds us how weak we are so that we remember how strong he is. And I found it
oh,
fitting,
Shannon.
that was over a year ago. And that's something that he does.
Yes.
If
Yes.
we if we aren't if the situation if God doesn't fix the situation, he uses the situation to fix us. If he removes things away, it's because he is trying to get our attention. He wanted me to lean into him because I do have a problem with control. All I can say is I can't be more blessed, more thankful for the past year than I've ever been, and I can look back, and that's why I call things the beautiful things. It was a beautiful thing. It was not easy.
Yes, that refining time, and I think oftentimes when we're going through lots of hard times all together, your health scare, losing your job, this relationship ending, and two, in the past you haven't had healthy relationships. You could easily, and same with everybody listening too. We could be like, you know what? What's wrong with me? Why am I not getting the care that I see someone else receiving? We can easily look on LinkedIn and Instagram and be like, well, everybody looks blessed and busy.
Right.
Whereas we're not seeing their deeper scars that they're holding. And those scars really, they're not something to hide. They're something to recognize that we got through this and we are now better. And those are teaching moments for us to go on. Now, I think what is really interesting as we were talking about your story too is that as you turned to God, as you accepted and surrendered, which I think is part of life, is a divine
Right.
concept, surrendering, everything wasn't that easy either. It wasn't like the sky opened up and the sun was shining. Your home got flooded.
When it happened, I was quite peaceful. I've always had faith like David,
Uh-huh.
always had faith and certainty like King David, and I wasn't worried. I went completely around my house. That's all I can say. The claims
Yes.
adjusters and all them that have been here literally have laughed because they don't know how it didn't affect, but it literally kind of went around. I do think it might have been like divine,
Yeah.
which I giggle and laugh about, but it was a peaceful time. I call it Shalom Basara. It's like
Oh.
peace in the storm. I
Oh.
knew he was with me, and I've always looked at everything with my spiritual eyes, especially
Yes.
even in the past year. When the rain happens, I realize it's a blessing. Some of us are like, "Oh, it's rainy," but it is a blessing to have the rain.
Yes. One of the things I love to do is one of my hobbies is lifting weights. I love going to the gym. I love lifting. I love lifting heavy. And the patterns of lifting heavy is it you have to lift heavy in order to build muscle. And then when that weight feels lighter, then you increase the weight and you lift heavier, you know? And so I love the challenge that it brings onto myself of like, I can lift this heavy thing and I keep track of how heavy I'm lifting with different sets and stuff like that with like deadlifts and other and arm exercises and it's so interesting to me to be like, well, back a year ago, I was able to lift, whatever pounds. And this year, I'm able to lift like way more weight. And it's because I had to practice and I had to
Yeah.
get stronger. But stronger doesn't come just by sitting on the bench. Stronger comes by lifting those weights and
Right.
leaning into that pain in the moment because I know it will make me stronger in the end.
No, and if we looked at it with life, we don't get stronger by avoiding what I call avoiding the fire. You have to
Yes.
walk through the fire in order to, to f to actually burn. It's like you have to burn like the sun if you wanna shine.
I was looking at your human design chart. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Shannon, she's so freaking awesome."
You're
um,
awesome.
oh, you're so good. Well, and what human design is, so all our friends, we're all on the same page, is human design is like a personality test, like the Enneagram and the Strength Finders, and it helps us to know the blueprint of our soul. And people love it 10 times more because it goes into 10 times more depth. So it's like this art piece. And we each have different colors and different
Right.
textures in our painting. And I've read hundreds and hundreds of people's charts throughout the world. No two charts are the same.
No.
So it's really crazy. So we have this puzzle piece art system that we're building. And your picture starts off with you as a generator. So this is a human design type. There are 5 human design types. You're a generator, and a generator is this energizer bunny. You have this gift of being able to go, 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 do these things. And especially when it lights you up inside like a sparkler feeling, that's the sign that it's meant for you. A lot of times, generators, because they have so much energy, they can do so many things. They're saying yes to a lot of things. They're saying yes to, I'll do this out of responsibility. I'll do this because no one else is volunteering. I'm going to go in this different direction and do all these things. But really, the thing that's for you is when you follow this sparkly energy that's lighting you up inside, this like yummy, lit up feeling that is for you. So using your energy for that thing allows you to have clarity and not do all the things because even though you have lots of energy, it doesn't mean you need to do all the things. Have you noticed throughout your life having this sparkle feeling that has come to you in different points of your personal or professional life?
Yes, definitely. My children, like,
Yes.
when I became a mother, I didn't think there was anything better than being a mother, but there is. It's being a grandmother.
I have heard that is the best.
It is. When I loved at home. Some mothers, miss work, but I was working when I had my children. I was in a banking atmosphere at that point. But after having 3, it became more money uh, to
Yes.
put them in daycare. So I started a daycare, and I absolutely love that because I love children, and I'm pretty much like a big kid. I get in I get in trouble all the time with my son because I'm riding the bikes with my grandkids. I'm in the mud puddles and,
Yes.
"Grandma, no, you're not supposed to do that with them." But, yeah, I light up with that. I truly light up when I can help, and that's what I've found. Even when I was in insurance and
Yes.
lending, I go out of my way usually for those that are a little bit less fortunate. With insurance, it was like trying to make sure that they had the lowest premium. And lending, I worked in that for about a year, 1 year. And mortgages, I truly fought very hard for individuals that, they didn't have the money for a down payment, but they still deserve a home, and we have these programs available to these individuals. But a lot of these are not easy mortgages, so it takes time. And most people are there for the money. And I truly want to help. And that's where, I know how God worked in this. He removed me
Yes.
out of mortgages because it truly wasn't something that I needed to be in. And he's
Yes.
put me in a position right now, especially with what I'm doing. I can help individuals, and
Yes.
I truly feel it. I can feel the difference in myself as far as the sparkle. It
Yes.
it was there with mortgages, it was there with insurance, but there was a lot of underlying features that my energy couldn't take.
Yes. And that is really like finding that thread and using your energy towards that. You'll magnify your energy even more, you'll light it up even more. There'll be even more of that source of energy of putting it towards our work and the work that you're doing with your book and the art, it all comes into this full circle moment of I'm using my energy toward the right things. And that's really the strategy of a generator is to use that energy not just for things that are like this partial, this is cool, I like it, but this
Right.
really like in tune, light up feeling that like this is my inner compass saying I need to go this direction. And it's not always clear like what this is meant for you on the other side, right? We don't always get the end
No.
game, but you can trust in yourself to move in the right direction. If this is sparkling, if this is sparking you up, that feeling, trust yourself, go in that direction, continue to go in that direction because what's meant for you is on the other side of that direction. And it's really a beautiful thing. Another part of your chart that really stood out to me is we're given insights into how we manifest more in human design. And what I love about human design again is this like it tells us like our not a universal way of how we should do things, but our individual thumbprint of how we should do things that works best for us, that helps us with flow and with peace and ease. And so, as a specific manifester, you can manifest more when you're really intentional about details. The details of what you really, really want, like writing it out, calling it in, allowing those details to kind of surround you and to make up this world build what you want to manifest, and go into all those details of what you really, really want. Now, when I found out I'm a specific manifester too, and there's people that are unspecific, so they're more like, keep the details high level, you don't have to go too far down. But when I found out I was a specific manifester, I was like, oh, sometimes that's scary because I'm like, is what I really, really want for me, or am I going to mess it up? But have you noticed like that as you create a life that you really want, those details coming true?
Very much so. Very much so. Especially in the past couple of months.
Hmm.
Because I one of my major problems was actually believing that my spiritual growth was not going to affect wealth.
Oh,
I had this belief, and I still can say I struggle with it, that I
yes.
don't equate spirituality with wealthy. I think that
Oh,
you
yes.
can lose that. And it took a lot of praying and still
Yes.
understanding that yes, the creator wants us to be abundant
Hmm.
and that he wants
Yes.
me to have wealth. And ever since I changed that, I have seen so many things change. I meetings, a lot of things happening as far as, you know, the flood. The flood
Yeah.
was my wake up call. Many people are like, "Oh, you're going through a flood." No, I wrote. Literally, it made me realize how important my words were, and this book
Mm,
came to life then. And some people don't, they don't equate that, but yes,
yes.
I manifested this. And yeah, there's a lot of other things that like right now I pretty much it's all happening, and it's happening very quickly. But once you put that, and I've always had faith and certainty, once
Yes.
you can change that little thing, like I said, I didn't equate wealth with my spiritual growth. Once I've kind of tweaked that, I have literally seen on a weekly basis that everything is falling in. Everything's falling into
Oh.
place, right down to this meeting today and our podcast. That's where I'm like, I thank him. I thank him every
Yes.
night. I don't, and that's where I'm at because I know I am nothing without him.
Mhm.
I didn't ask for a long time. I didn't ask him for anything.
Mhm.
I didn't ask for the wealth. I didn't ask for the abundance. I didn't ask for anything because I was very happy just being his daughter, you know?
Yes.
And I realized that yes, he wants me to do more. He has put
Yes.
me through all of this in my life for a reason, and it is for his kingdom. And yeah, all I can say is I'm taking deep breaths each night because I know this is happening and I know it's happening fast.
Yes. What is one of the ways that you manifest and bring these things into your life? Like, what's a specific way? Do you journal out, or do you speak it out to people, or how have you seen this start rolling?
I'm a big I pray out loud. You pray
Oh,
out loud. They always want
nice.
me to pray out loud. But one of my most favorite things to do is music. When I started this journey last year, I fell in love with, Hebrew music. I do a lot of singing
Ooh.
to the creator. And it is an alignment. You can meditate with song, and there's a lot of songs, and there's manifestation songs that you listen
Yes.
to. And I've truly, in the past couple of weeks, been listening to them on a daily basis and manifesting. I did write at one point everything that I wanted down, and I threw it in the river and never
Oh.
looked at it. Never, but I mean, I went out one night underneath the moonlight and I wrote all these things down, and I'm telling you what, I'm laughing about it right now, but
Yes.
everything is happening.
Oh, that's amazing. And that real belief in seeing and feeling those things that you want to manifest coming towards you, just like a river, right? It's being led back to you. It's
Right,
becoming part of you. And that God wants this for you as well. That
right.
is a huge, huge thing. Another part on your chart that really stood out to me is how you make decisions best. And you are an emotional inner authority. And so, as an emotional inner authority, you make decisions best in this place of contentment. Like the ocean, they're high tide and they're low tide, right? And there's always these things going on during those season, but ocean always has this place of contentment that it goes to where it's like, oh, I'm feeling really content right here. And that's when you want to make decisions, is in that place of contentment, in that place of peace, where you're not being pulled by the highs, you're not being pulled by the lows. And so oftentimes when people have emotional inner authority, I love to give them this strategy that if they're trying to make a decision and they're not quite settled on where it is, just say, hey, I need some more time to think about this. Give me a day to sleep on this. Those are kind of phrasing that helps, either like telling yourself internally or telling other people, hey, just give me a little more space. I need to think about this. But we think about, like, in business, and that we all need to be super decisive. We need to make the decision right away. But there is a moment of pause for you to think about this, feel into it, get to that place where it's really settled for you. Um, and that's the best way that you can bet on yourself, is to listen to that feeling and listen to that inner voice of, I'm not in fear because of either a high or a low. I'm not feeling anxious, either a high or low. I'm just in this place of settled contentment, and that takes time to get to.
It
So,
does.
how do you get to a place of contentment? What helps you to get to the best place of contentment?
Well, I truly am not a person that if anything is brought to me and it has to be, they're saying, "Oh, you only got this only lasts for 20 minutes or
Yes.
2 hours, and it's gonna," that is something that I will be like, I'm not doing that. I truly take everything nightly prayer. Don't move unless the creator tells me. And people probably don't relate to that a lot, but yeah, I talk to him and I let him guide me, and decisions don't need to be made right away. And if you feel that feeling of, oh, this is making me feel uneasy, whew, I'm out. I'm out. I use my nightly prayer and my meditation to guide me,
Mm,
and literally everything that I do. He has been he's my rock, my refuge, and
nice.
I don't say yes unless it is in alignment with what he wants for me.
Yes, and being in tune and trusting that, and I think that getting to that point where that feels that spiritual yes, where it feels that place of contentment does take time, and I think sometimes it is a day, sometimes it is a week, sometimes it is a month, And we don't have to rush the process.
That's
We're
it.
not going to miss what's meant for us if we're trying. If we're trying to be like, I'm trying to figure this out. That's one thing versus being either like driven by other things. And so if we're coming from a place of a good heart where we
Right.
really want to figure out what's going to work for us or not for us, timing is on our side. And I think that's what in business we think we get in our heads so much about is like, oh, I'm so far behind. Oh, if I don't take this opportunity, it's going to. I'm not going to miss this big thing or whatever it is, but it really is not going to miss us. I think about how I've developed my brand that I launched last year. Because I, for the last 5 years, have been operating in a different brand and I had a rebrand to the ROI of peace. But it took us probably 9 months to really get settled
Right.
on the name and the feeling that we wanted, and it was okay to go through that process, and I think if I would have rushed it, I wouldn't be where I am now, and the podcast wouldn't be where it is now if I didn't, trust myself and my inner voice going to what needed to happen next, and this happens a lot in business, right? We like look at measurable markers of metrics, of performance, of these indexers that are telling us what we should do or not do. But the ROI of peace has different indicators. It has this clarity and resilience and joy and alignment and peace that surround it. And so, what areas of your life is asking for more peace right now, personally or professionally? And what would it look like bringing peace into that area in the day to day life?
Peace would probably be in maybe my relationships, I'm thinking.
Yes.
I realize that some of my relationships have been taken away for a reason. I have siblings, I have 2 siblings,
Yes.
but I have not spoken to my sister in, I think it's going on 2 years, over a silly little texting, thing, but we've for
Yes.
years walked on eggshells around
Mm,
my sister. Um, and I realized after my prayer that, things are taken away for a reason, but I
yes.
reach out and I on a daily basis, and that's all we can do. But
Yes.
peace in my relationships would be probably the best right now. I've had a relationship. I've always been a daddy's girl, so
Oh,
been an easier relationship with my father, but my me and my mother, um, it's always been, we don't see eye to eye. We're a little bit different, and we don't have to, and
yes.
that's where I'm at. I've always been a person where no, I don't need to be just like you. And if I disagree with you, it doesn't mean that I don't like you or that something's
Yes.
wrong, but a lot of other people don't act that way, and they confuse, I don't know, accountability with confrontation, and it's
Oh,
truly not that way. I refer to it as true intelligence, and not everybody has the emotional intelligence and
yes.
empathy that make up true
Mm,
intelligence, and I don't hold it against them,
yes.
but yeah, it can make for some conflict and non-peace in, like, our little, I should say my family situation.
Yes. And I agree. I was at my second, well, our oldest daughter is getting married this summer, and our other daughter got married last year, and our kids are all growing up. They're all adults.
Yeah.
And I look back on the times now when they were little and like we were going to baseball games and school events and how busy that was and how chaotic, but also how amazing it was. And I think about them, they're growing into more of who they are now, and they have likes and dislikes. And so that brings about different like perspectives. And what we have been hoping to have is a culture in our family where we understand that everybody has different perspectives and we honor that and we
Right.
don't have to be alike. But we are always there for each other and whatever that looks like, you know? Now, I know, Shannon, everybody wants to be friends with you. They want to connect with you. You have this amazing light and this gift, and this was just so awesome. So, how can they? What's the best way to connect with you?
Well, I've been using LinkedIn more. I'm on
Yes.
LinkedIn. I'm Shannon Shafer, and then they'll see A&E Connect. I also have been trying to get into the TikTok thing, and Instagram. It's Esther Now Shannon, Esther Now with no H, that I'm on there.
Yeah, that sounds great. And we'll have all those links in the show notes and stuff. Shannon, this has been so wonderful having you on.
No.
This has been amazing.
I know, I know. I don't want it to stop.
Well, and friends listening, thank you so much for being on. I just love I love seeing all of the listeners all throughout the world. I love hearing your stories of how this has affected you. Um, if you haven't already, just push follow on the platform that you're listening to this on. And if you could rate the podcast, that would mean so much to me. Your piece is the most profitable thing you will ever invest in. We'll see you next time.